mira. Con 9 milímetros. No, vamos a hacerlo con ese. ¿Ese es 9? No. ¿Qué es?
Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got the latest in the SCAR series. This is the SCAR 17S NRCH Non-Reciprocating Charging Handle. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis X and Core belts. You'll find a link that you can sign up for Big Daddy Unlimited. They actually have things in stock and usually at a lower price than other places. Link to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. Thank you. And that little last piece I said is the big difference between a prior SCAR and a current one. The charging handle does not reciprocate when the gun fires. Prior SCARs did, and if you weren't careful and you had your hand in the wrong spot, you could get smacked. So if you have a current SCAR, and that was one of the things you don't like, they've rectified it. I've heard there's a retrofit available, but it's close to $2,000, so it's fairly expensive. But if you haven't wanted a SCAR before, you've wanted one but didn't want to deal with that, they've taken care of that. So I'm going to flip it over since I've got it locked back at the moment. And actually, I had it the right way. It is unloaded, because of course we want to make sure it's unloaded. And I do have the stock folded, which, by the way, unlike an AR, you could fire this with the stock folded. I'm going to bring the stock around, which is a little bit cumbersome to do on the video. And this is what it looks like with the fold. It's unfolded, but it's compressed. You can push this button and you can, like any other AR, extend it. This boot at the back is hard rubber. It looks like a pad, but it's not. But one thing I kind of noted is the recoil on this felt like it was lighter than other AR-10s that I had fired. So I think some of the designs they've done actually work. It's kind of a strange looking thing. Sometimes been called the UGG boot just from the shape of it. And it does have an adjustable, that was the button I was pushing the first time, cheek rest. So you can adjust the cheek rest, and of course you can adjust the length of pull. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you can adjust it. It does come with flip up sights. There's front and rear. So right out of the box you could shoot it, unlike some flat tops which have no sights at all. The rear sight is let me get the button in the right spot. I'm going to pause, flip it over, and move this sight. These are a little bit stiff. So I flipped up the sights. The rear has two apertures, a small and a large, and is fully adjustable. The front is an AR style post sight, so there is some adjustability on that, but really the main adjustment is meant to be done at the rear for windage and distance. It's got rails everywhere. So there's rails on the side, there's rails on the bottom, there's a rail on the other side. And they're all rounded and smooth. The top one isn't. The top one has got a little bit of edginess to it, but you don't put your hands there. But all the rails here, all the edges are rounded and smoothed. So unlike some quad rail type setups you'd find in an AR which hurt your hands, this was comfortable to hold without putting any kind of covers on it. Obviously you could at the standard Picatinny rail and you could put covers on it, but it's designed for lights, lasers, under barrel mount devices, all sorts of things that you might come up with. The safety is ambi. It's an AR style safety, and it is ambi. The one on the right hand side is smaller than the one on the left hand side for avoiding biting into your hands. But it does have ambi safety. The rest of it is, other than the charging handles, are ambi, and you'll notice this one is angled down a little bit. And the purpose of that is, whichever side you plan to charge it with, put the angled one on, and when you go to cycle it, you won't be smacking your hand into the optics mount. Turn it around as if I were going to cycle it. So let me zoom out a little bit. If I were grabbing a hold of this to cycle it, notice that I've got my hand below the Picatinny rail, so I'm not as likely to get smacked. The straight ones kind of brought you up about like this, and you'd want to whack your knuckle into the optics mount if the optics mount stuck out at all. So this kind of helps with that as long as you keep your hand down. I'm going to go ahead and release it. So it cycles smoothly. Of course I've got a magazine in it, but you saw that entire time I was cycling it, my knuckle stayed below the rail. The magazines are proprietary. They're steel mag with a low friction follower, and they've got a grip at the bottom to get a hold of them. But these are the mags that work with it. They're not as expensive as you might expect. They come in around 50 bucks, which is pricey compared to P mags. But for high quality steel mags, that's about what you're going to pay. Of course, since this is the 17S, it's chambered in 762 by 51 or 762 NATO. One thing that I've got to call out to FN to find out for sure if this is headspaced also to be safe for 308. Because of course, unlike 5.56 223, where all 5.56s can shoot 223, the reverse can be true of 762. The barrel is only stamped 762 by 51. So once I find out, by the time I release this video, I'll know, and I'll put text on the screen to let you know what I found out. But as of the moment, I'm only aware of this definitely being headspace for 762 by 51. It's a nice gun. It's a expensive gun. They're proud of these things. This one here goes MSRP of about $38.49. You can find them a little less expensive at times, but these are ones that tend to sell close to what their MSRP is because they're supply and demand. Overall, though, if you're looking for a combination battle and precision rifle, which is really what these are, they're Special Forces battle rifles that also can do precision shooting, this is really a good choice with some of the features it has. Piston-driven recoil system. One thing I noticed, we shot quite a bit of ammo downrange testing it and getting the range footage and just plain having fun with it. All of the internals back here stayed very clean. All the dirt was up there on that piston, and the piston's got a coating on it, so it was actually quite easy to knock. Most of the residue came off real quickly and easily. So a few of the techie details. This is between 36 and 38.5 inches long, depending on whether or not you've extended the buttstock. It weighs 8 pounds, which is light for a rifle in this territory, and the reason for that is the receiver is solid or hard aluminum, and the bottom part is actually polymer. So the fire control group and the handle's all polymer, but all the work's done up here in the metal part of it. This just holds the fire control group and kind of mounts it. So these have proven over the years to be very reliable, so I wouldn't worry about the polymer on this. As far as the barrel, this one is the SCAR 17S, so it's a 16.5 inch barrel. It's 1 in 12 twist, and it's cold forged, and it's chrome lined. It's also full free floating, so the barrel is free floating, which definitely makes it designed for accuracy as well as reliability. And when I mentioned the barrel, it's cold hammer forged, and of course combine that with the hard anodized aluminum upper. Everything on this is designed for durability, but also designed to be light and reliable. That gives why this gun is 8 pounds instead of more 9-10 pounds like some of the others in this territory. It's a nice rifle. It's designed for Special Forces, so it's got a lot of features. Of course, the Special Forces one, they get 2 more positions on their safety. We just get, off and on, semi-automatic. If you are actually using this in a regular military setting, I believe you also get select fire as well as full auto. But we're kind of stuck with just semi-automatic and safe mode. I think this would be one that would actually be fun to fire in one of the more automatic modes because it manages recoil very, very well. Being a flat top with the flip down sights, you could easily put the optic of your choice, whether you go with some sort of a red dot or one of the long eye relief, either magnified red dots or long eye relief scope or full on scope. It's going to support whatever it is that you want to put on it. A couple other things, it has sling mount points back here. At the back there's 2 little ears. There's also up there at the front, and there's a front one on this side, but then here's one little one here at the back. Doesn't have the full complement at the back because there needs to be room for the stock to flip over. So let's talk about the trigger. So I'm going to cycle it, put it on fire. A little bit kind of clunky. This is a battle gun, battle trigger. There are companies that make triggers for these to improve it, but consider this a battle trigger. It's not a bad one. It's relatively short. It's a little bit clunky. It's a relatively short break, and it's not as heavy as many others, but it's definitely not a precision trigger. So the trigger worked well. On the range, I was able to stay on target, use the trigger well. It didn't creep forever and make it feel like the trigger was interfering with shooting well, but it's not what you would consider an awesome trigger. I would say it's just a good trigger. it would have to have a little bit less clunkiness, a little bit smoother, and maybe a hair lighter to move into the awesome territory. Overall, though, it's functional. It gets the job done. If you've worked with an AR before, you would be able to quickly learn how to use this. It functions, most of the controls and everything function in a very similar manner to an AR. And you're looking at the FDE version, which is, I believe, the original color for the Special Forces ones they created. It's also available in black. Looking at it, it seems to look nicer in FDE. It stands out a little bit more, but you can get it whichever color it is that you happen to like. Last two things I'll mention on this: it does have an adjustable gas system in the event that you choose to put a suppressor on it. You just turn this. It also is very easy to disassemble. You push the button and flip this the opposite direction, flip it towards me clockwise, and you can pull this part out and the piston comes right out, easy to maintain. And it does come with a rather interesting and I would say highly effective muzzle brake. Really did seem like the recoil felt lighter on this than others that I've shot. So got all the design features you're looking for in something that would be easy to shoot well, easy to carry, easy to use. The fact that you can actually fire this with the stock folded and it handles recoil well enough, I think you could do that easily. Gives you kind of everything you're looking for. Upgrading to a non-reciprocating charging handle, I think, was the last thing that stopped me from wanting to get a hold of one of these. I've liked them, I've fired them, I've seen them, but that was kind of a stopper because I'm used to ones that don't do that, the Tavors and everything else. When they kind of came out with that, it tripped the switch. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell up there to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, kind of everywhere. And thank you.
Es aquí, ¿verdad? Necesito espacio. Vamos a poner esto aquí. Y esto.